Both leaps in technology proliferation combined with a mass wave of digitization following the coronavirus pandemic have brought new meaning to the digital India dream. With the global economy hinging on an unprecedented level of support by tech companies to build the digital infrastructure needed to keep businesses functioning online, perhaps no other firm has created more sophisticated tools to tackle the challenges of the future than industry leader IBM. We sat down with IBM's MD of India and South Asia, Sandip Patel, to take a deep dive on the tech giant's plan to reshape tomorrow. I'm now in conversation with Mr. Sandip Patel. Hi Sandeep, thank you so much for joining me today on this special episode. You know, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a remarkable sea change and a huge impact on life, of course, as well as businesses around the globe. So how are you seeing that things that organizations need to do so that they can reshape tomorrow?
Great question. And look, before I answer that, maybe it may be helpful to set the context of what we are seeing happen around us, right? So these are both testing and interesting times. It's both for the world, for organizations at large, and for every industry, I think, in particular. Now, the IT industry has managed to turn around, some of these biggest challenges into opportunities, but a lot of it is about thinking around the three fundamental shifts that we are seeing with this pandemic. One, we are seeing the acceleration of digital ecosystems, which is touching every aspects of our life. If we thought that digital transformation was going to happen, it has not only happened, but it's happening and evolving at a very, very fast pace. So that is a reality now that we have to contend with. Second, because of these new digital ecosystems and this digital transformation, we are seeing new emerging business models, which are driving both cost efficiency, agility, but also requiring a fundamental foundation of trust. Trust that systems will work, trust that your data will be protected, trust that there is enough security in conducting transactions and interactions and others online. And then the third, which is a truly defining shift, is the emergence of a network economy that is defining a whole new way of working and interacting with people. And that is also requiring people to interact with their customers in a fundamentally different way. And it's not about how you're interacting with, for example, say if you're in the banking space, how you're interacting with the banking customer. In the digital world, the bar is set by the last truly memorable and truly impactful experience you had in the digital space. So it's not about what was the best banking experience, but what was the best digital experience you had. And that, I think, is fundamentally requiring organizations to change in the way they adapt and work through all of that. And so as organizations accept these three fundamental shifts, what they need to do is, I in a word, if I have to say it, or in a phrase, I basically say that they need to emerge smarter. They fundamentally need to emerge smarter to both reset, revive, and then really energize themselves in this new way of working. And you know for and I'll give you a couple of examples. Going forward, organizations will need to both modernize their operations to realize the benefits of cloud native capabilities. So they will have to think about location independence, for one. The second thing they'll have to think about is talent flexibility, how you source talent from a variety of different ways, all remotely. Scalability, resilience, interoperability, seamless transition to a virtualized engagement and delivery model. We are actually calling it cloudified delivery now, which is a new way of thinking about how we drive delivery of technology solutions, etc. And
Mhm,
so,
mhm.
to help organizations think about this, how to emerge smarter, which is reset, recover, and revive, right? It involves a whole slew of different capabilities. How do you facilitate employees to work from home, and while you're doing that, ensure productivity? How do you drive operational resiliency? How do you continue the customer engagement and experience in a fundamentally different way? How do you disrupt supply chains, which are now becoming a way of life through these digital ecosystems forming? And most important, how do you protect against the increased
Mm.
cyber attacks? That this is
Yes.
something which is increasing manyfold. And so these are some of the functionalities and thoughts that organizations will have to adopt as they
Mm.
start to operate in this new normal.
Exactly. Those are great insights and a great start to the discussion, because it's a new normal. It's something that is changing every day, and businesses are having to adapt. They have to be nimble and agile, even whether it's the smallest business or the largest multinational. Uh, I want to go a little macro, so I want to talk about the nation. Recently, Arvind Krishna, the CEO of IBM, and yourself had a great interaction with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Just wanting to get some insights into some of the conversations that happened. What are some of the viewpoints that maybe the Prime Minister shared with you, and what you and Arvind shared on IBM's role for the way ahead?
Sure, and I've got to tell you, it was a terrific meeting. Great meeting with our prime minister. You could see the passion that he has about growth and development, of the country,
Mm.
and that was very, obviously very refreshing to see firsthand. So
Yes.
in this meeting, Arvind discussed the shared vision for the country. How IBM is embedding good tech in everything we do,
Mm.
and we refer to it this as good tech, which is, how are we responsible technologists in delivering, good through technology, and how do you leverage the power of technologies, where, we are doing a lot of work in the education space. And this is where Arvind talked about not just for AI in education, where we are obviously training a
Mm.
lot of people in, but AI for education. So, how do you enable education through the use of artificial intelligence? So, those were some of the themes that we talked about. The other thing that he committed to is that we will continue to invest here in India, and we are remain committed to driving local innovations that can have a global impact. So, this whole notion of Atmanirbhar Bharat, we had quite a bit of discussion around that. I mean, IBM has been a strong corporate citizen of India over the last 30 years, right? So we have been here, we have been in the fabric of India. And through this tenure, we have continued to invest in India, not just, in India, but it's for India, and actually doing work here in India that is scaled around the world. So the investments that we talked about will be focused in three areas: collaboration with the government to build platforms that accelerate the country's digital India vision. We will continue to bring good tech to life in areas like health, cybersecurity, as well as education. And the third area, which we are absolutely committed to, which we've already been doing a lot of work in, is in the Skill India movement and the move towards Atmanirbhar Bharat to create the right kinds of skills in the country that can start to make the country the skills capital for the world.
On that note, it's time for a very short break, but my conversation with Sandeep Patel continues after this very short break. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to this very special episode where I'm in conversation with Sandeep Patel. He's the MD for India and South Asia at IBM, and we're talking about the technology trends that he's foreseeing and what IBM is doing in India for the way ahead. Sandeep, when we talk about technology, one thought is also that there are a lot of technology which is has a has continuous uptime. There can't be any downtime. So whether it's financial transactions, whether it's healthcare system, uh, government systems. Um, for that, of course, the infrastructure, the hardware, software has to be integral, has to be robust. And I know IBM is an expert in this. But just wanting to get your thoughts on this about this integral aspect of how technology has to be up all the time. I mean, what are some steps that you're putting in place? What are some checks that you are developing or have developed to ensure that this cycle keeps going on?
So look, I mean, we are in the middle of providing infrastructure that keep a lot of essential services running. So be it a lot of the financial infrastructure in the country through public sector banks, through private banks, uh, I mentioned, some of the supply chains that we support, which delivers essential products like milk and others to the nation in many respects. We are also in the middle of providing infrastructure that delivers essentials like cooking gas, which continued to happen while we were going through the pandemic. Now all of this happens through core platforms, and as we move towards you know business as usual, but also post COVID, there are going to be two fundamental transformational journeys that we will continue to support clients with. One is hybrid cloud, and the other is data and AI. So let me talk about platforms and how some of this is brought to life, particularly as organizations and the IT ecosystems evolve. So we have been right at the core of building three fundamental platforms. One was sort of the mainframe and our systems platforms. Second was a services platform that actually delivers both infrastructure and solution-based services. And third was around middleware, which we have been pioneers in. And now the fourth one, which we believe, which is going to become very relevant, is hybrid cloud. And let me spend a minute to explain hybrid cloud. As different organizations move towards virtualizing
Mhm.
their infrastructure, moving to the cloud, they will always have different cloud properties, but also data and applications which they will have on-prem systems that they continue to own. And so the ability to transition applications, data, and work seamlessly and efficiently across these different platforms is going to become critical. And this is what I refer to when I talk about a hybrid cloud platform. So it starts with Linux, which is a de facto operating system standard. We have tremendous advantage in this with Red Hat Linux, which is the market share leader. Linux, along with containers and Kubernetes, which is a way to uh, have applications and data work seamlessly across these platforms, they provide the architectural foundation of our platform. And OpenShift, which is one of our core products through Red Hat, that captures all of this and more. So IBM clearly has a large software and middleware portfolio, which has now been containerized, and it runs on OpenShift and Red Hat Linux. So, you know, we have sort of created a family of cloud packs, which we introduced in the second half of last year, which allows our middleware to run in any cloud native environment and enables our clients to bridge from the past into the future, which means clients can now deploy this software anywhere that OpenShift runs. So it is infrastructure agnostic across not just public and private clouds, but also mainframes and power system platforms. So OpenShift is something that makes it possible to develop and consume software in a fundamentally new way. So this is where we have built in a set of advanced technologies like Watson, like analytics, like encryption, Internet of Things, and many others, which collectively starts to create a competitive advantage for us as organizations start to move into this new infrastructure. And all of this we do with a enterprise grade security infrastructure that we've built, because you talked about infrastructure and what is it that's going to be needed to move forward, right? So this is where we will need to have open architectures, which is what um, technologies like Red Hat, OpenShift, Linux that allows us. Second, seamless transition across these infrastructure platforms, which is again fundamental to this the work that we are doing with Red Hat and OpenShift. And with security leadership, with market leading data protection that enables us to provide that trust and reliability and quote unquote the always on capabilities that clients require as they move
Yeah.
towards these new hybrid infrastructures.
Very true. Sandeep, before I let you go, a technology pioneer many years ago had said that, any predictions that you make for the 5 year period, you usually overestimate them, and any predictions for the 10 year period, you underestimate. I think it was Bill Gates who said that. So I'm not going to ask you 5 years or 10 years. I just want to ask you your from your experience or your insights on what we can expect in the next 1 or 2 years from technology trends, specifically in what's happening in India.
Yeah, so I mean, as I reflected on a variety of different things, the return to normal, whenever it happens, right, it's going to be a fundamentally new normal. And what we do right now to adapt and get ready for that new normal will in fact define, the future. Clearly, we are going to be in a very um, fast or accelerating digital transformation, which I don't think will stop. I think that will continue. So the ability to sort of keep pace with digital transformation and being able to live in an increasingly digital world is like I believe that's going to be a way of the future, whether we look at it short term or even a little bit longer term. But a few sort of implications that we should keep in mind. In the short term, I think the whole notion of employee well-being is going to become, really, really important in terms of how do you enable employees to work from home where you are in fact uh, going into their homes as opposed to them coming to the workplace. And in doing that, I think maintaining sort of the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual well-being and balance, where
Yes, yes.
people are, bombarded 24 by 7, that is going to become really important. And how you do that with, training programs, the voice video collaboration technologies, etc., and doing that by even maintaining boundaries. So for one thing, for example, that we've done is we've created a work at home pledge that is just basic
Mhm.
rules of engagement in terms of how we interact and work with each other, and accept the fact that you're going into someone's home every time you have a meeting with them. Second, you've got to modernize the workforce, and you've got to sort of invest in skilling and how skills for virtual collaboration, for virtual work, that is going to need to increase. I mean, we have seen, for example, in our own organization, the number of online training hours has gone up significantly since the pandemic hit, and people are taking courses like online courses that we offer around virtual selling, virtual design, uh, how do you collaborate virtually and use some of the collaboration tools that are available, what do you need to know about cybersecurity, etc. The other thing that I believe, we will start to see is migration to tier 1 cities that was happening very aggressively. That could slow down. And this, I think, and I've been hearing this in a lot of our industry forums and others. I think uh, we will have the ability to build opportunities for aspiring job seekers in tier 2 to 3 cities, particularly when you have the ability to sort of work remotely and so on. I think the other prediction that I will put out there, and I think we are seeing this in some respects, but I think it'll probably accelerate even more, is stronger ecosystem collaboration to co-create, co-innovate, and actually, launch offerings together in the marketplace, whether it be, with people who are, traditionally competitors, or doing that in conjunction with your clients. We've been doing some of that in Europe. We've had some very interesting solutions that we've launched in collaboration with clients, where we are doing offerings with clients or with government agencies and academia. And then the other thing I believe, which is going to be really important, is how technology plays a role underpinned by a lot of security. I think the notion around cybersecurity, I think people are still worried about it. I don't think everyone has completely
True.
locked into what does it take to be secure. Just to give you a couple of data points, about number of
Yes.
security incidents have increased by 40% due to the move to
Wow.
remote working.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, the number of incidents that we have seen, and we track this on a regular basis through our command center, has been in, like a few thousand%. It has gone up in terms of just ransomware attacks and others that we are starting to see.
Wow,
So
that's
this is
huge.
yeah, and that this is going to become a reality. So thinking about how do you invest in this next generation of a security command center, how do you monitor and do this on an ongoing basis where you are preventing, sort of known risks proactively, I think is going to become very, very important.
Well, fantastic, Sandeep. Thank you so much for your time and for talking to me today. We've got some great insights from you, not just about what IBM is doing, but also on what we should expect for the way ahead. For the viewers, this was I was in conversation with Sandeep Patel. He's the MD for India and South Asia at IBM. Those were great insights. But stay tuned to us, because on this very series, which is Reshape tomorrow, we'll be bringing in some very interesting roundtable conferences along with some surveys of the industry, different sectors in the industry, that will give you a real time, you could say, maybe it's we're putting our finger on the pulse of the industry through these surveys that we're doing in partnership with IBM. Thank you again, Sandeep, and thank you so much for watching.